Hey guys, welcome back to another today's video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how America can improve upon their elections. So let's begin, shall we? But the first thing I'm going to talk about is this is the most common thing is that Maine passed was ranked choice voting. And I think, in my opinion, ranked choice voting is a good way to improve upon our elections and our voting the way we vote in America. Because now we can rank our candidates in order of preference, and it would help better reflect the majority of the voters. And I think it would help bring some sense of civility back to America and making sure we're all coming together at the end of an election and working together to find common ground solutions that all of us, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and Greens, and Independents, can all agree on to solve the major problems in America like immigration and healthcare. And another thing I think that can really, in my opinion, that can really fix America's elections and really end, notably end the gridlock and division in our government is like implementing some sort of mixed member proportional in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, or other known as MMP. I would like to see MMP introduced because we're going to see both a range of both big and small parties in government, which means we're going to see a lot more coalition building and coalition building with other parties, and people are going to have to sometimes they have to reach across the aisle and in order to pass legislation. And I think that would help really end the gridlock in government, because right now we're stuck with two parties that really don't want to work together. Like, we see one side on the Democrat side that just wants to investigate the president and who wants to do everything in their power to find something to impeach him on. And I think that's stupid, in my opinion, and I think we should be working with everyone in government. And the Democrats should be setting aside their differences with President Trump and just moving on from the criminal investigation Mueller report and finding common ground solutions on. But to make sure I'm not getting off topic, I think with MMP overall, I think that would help really shake up the partisan gridlock and divide when we have a lot more parties, so many other parties in government, ranged from both big and small. I think that would really help shaking up the gridlock and division in government. And in my opinion, that would create a long-lasting stability, unity, and civility and compromise in American government. Um, and another thing, I think this is a common debate that even the 2020 Democratic presidential candidates are talking about is like we should like abolish the Electoral College. And to be quite frankly, I don't agree that the Electoral College should be abolished and replaced with the national popular vote. I think the Electoral College can stay in some areas because it worked. I understand the founders' attention over it, making sure small states and big states are equally represented. But I think the problem with it is, and the reason why people feel like it's not democratic, is because we have these faithless electors, and plus the Electoral College doesn't vote the same day the people vote. It only votes on the day it votes in the month of December. And I think if one area we can do to change that is add in completely get rid of faithless electors, in my opinion. Really enforce that law to make sure it's completely illegal. Have serious punishments for an elector who dares to like vote against what their population voted for. And another thing is to add to the Electoral College is make it where the Electoral College doesn't vote in December. It would actually vote in the November, the same day the people vote. And I think that would give people a sense of that they know that they're voting directly for the president. Another area is maybe just to re-educate the American public and really like re-educate the American public and really teaching them how the Electoral College system is worked and designed, so they can better understand that they're not necessarily voting completely directly for the president. They're voting for a handful of electors, but they need to make sure they can trust the electors that they're going to vote based on what they voted for, based on what their state voted for. So if like 61% of California voters voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, Hillary Clinton should have got all of California's 55 electoral votes. If all of 50, if 51% of Texan voters voted for Donald Trump, all of 30, Trump should get all of Texas' 38 electoral votes because the majority of Texan voters wanted Donald Trump back in 2016 as president. Um, so, and seeing like faithless electors just not going against their state and not voting what their state voted for, who they felt like should be the president, is, in my opinion, really making it where ordinary people's votes are meaningless. So, in my opinion, one area that we can do is enforce the faithless electors law, have serious punishment for an elector voting against our population in any state. Two is to make sure the electoral college votes the same day the people vote. And three, maybe is to add in ranked choice voting to the electoral college, where it's not just a candidate with the most votes wins. He has to get majority vote. He has to get plurality. So this would actually, with the support of ranked choice voting, it would add in, it would make sure it would better reflect the majority of the voters in their states, and making sure it would add a lot more choice in elections, and it would get rid of the spoiler effect that third parties and independent candidates will bring already in our elections. And it went like what I said before in my other videos. When we have more choice, more competition, the quality of life will get better for all Americans, and there will be less corruption, less partisan divide in our government. But another thing I really want to touch on is with mixed member proportional. Germany does this type of system also, and it resulted in a stable government for about, like, I think it's 60 years. I could be wrong about this. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But it's a very complex system, but it's actually, advocates actually argue that it's the most Germany's elections is the fairest in the world. So I think with the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, maybe with the U.S. Senate we can, instead of senators serving 6 years, they serve 2-year term limits, where senators would be up for re-election all senators would be up for re-election in a midterm, and all senators would be up for re-election in the general, and including the same goes to the House of Representatives. So instead of maybe having one vote in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives, you would have 2 votes, where on the left side of your ballot you would vote for a member of the House, a member of your district that's running in your district to be your representative, or you're voting for a senator that's running to represent you in this U.S. Senate. And another side of the ballot, you vote for a political party. Where the first vote, where you vote for your candidate in your district or state, those directly elected representatives would make up half of the Senate and the House of Representatives, while the party vote is the proportional vote, where political parties will be proportionally represented in the United States Senate and the United States House. And this is where, in my opinion, I think this would help this would actually completely end the gridlock and division, since you will have a lot more parties in government, and parties would have to be trying to form coalition governments, meaning they would have to reach across the aisle, which would help reunify America once again, and it would help unite the country. And then when people see our politicians working together from different parties, different beliefs in government, it's all going to trickle down. It's going to help really heal the partisan divide in our government. And I think I think, in my opinion, proposing MMP would really shake up the gridlock and division. And with the mixture of bringing in ranked choice voting, I think it would really bring in back civility, some sense of common sense, compromises, bipartisanship once again to our government, and getting people to work with everyone, regardless of what we believe in, and regardless if we have differences with one another, and finding ways to persuade each other, and finding like solutions that we can all agree on to fix the major problems that America is going through right now. So, since you heard my thoughts about how we should make America's elections better, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree that we should implement mixed member proportional in the U.S. House of Representatives and the United States Senate? Do you agree or disagree with me that we should keep the Electoral College or maybe even replace it? Tell me why. Tell me your reasoning in the comment section below. But until next time, guys, this is the Young Centrist, and I am out.